It looks so very different from the front. I've just been sat at the back, and I was thinking, I can talk to these people to the backs of your heads. But actually, coming here, now it's a different reality. Very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to speak about parenting. And parenting, how I've come to see it from the three principles perspective. And it's very different to how it used to be many years ago. And the first thing I want to do is I'm going to let you into a little secret. Okay, it's a little known secret, this one, which has been already alluded to today, but I'm just going to make it really emphatic. We as parents are not responsible for the way our children feel. And our children cannot make us feel anything. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. We as parents are not responsible for our children's feelings, and our children cannot make us feel upset, angry, stressed, or even loving or joyful. It just isn't possible. It may look like that to us as parents, or this is not exclusively to parents, by the way, but I'm speaking to that. It may look like that at times, but it isn't possible. And I'm going to explain how and why. This understanding, this fundamental truth that I'm bringing here, can help liberate us as parents from the anxiety and stress that we so commonly experience and that can make parenting feel very, very overwhelming sometimes. It also can point to the child, which has already been alluded to today. We can accept the child in his or her full range of human experiences, and we can help the child not grow up feeling responsible for our feelings as parents, which so often happens. Now, I'm going to do this by way of a story. It's a story, it's an everyday story, really, of parenting. In fact, to be more precise, it's an everyday story of grandparenting, because it involves my grandson, Theo. He was 2.5 when this particular thing happened. And I have an admission, or something I'd want to acknowledge at this point, that this story does show me up in a very good light. Now, it's true. I mean, it hasn't always been the case when I've been a dad, but it does show me up in a very good light. But after 35 years of parenting, I do think somewhere along the line I've learned quite a lot. And most of it, has to be said, has been founded on mistakes, I'd argue. But they've been great teachers. The children have been fantastic teachers for me. So, it's a Monday morning. And ordinarily on a Monday morning, Dad goes off to work early, and Mum takes Theo, Natalie, my daughter, takes Theo, my grandson, to nursery before then she goes off to work. But on this occasion, because I'm staying with them, I'm going to hang out with Theo all day, which is a complete and utter treat for me. But the big difference for Theo on this occasion is that he experiences something he's never experienced before. He sees his parents, both his parents, leave the house at the same time without him. That's never happened before. So as the door closes, and he's left on this side of the door with me, he is absolutely beside himself with upsetness. He's a very upset little boy. And it's very evident. He's crying profusely in front of me. So what to do? Well, I think I got my thinking hat on. I'm kind of feeling pretty awake at this point, although it's quite early in the morning. So I just stay close, and I stay loving. I don't do anything. I offer him a hug, which he categorically rejects. I validate him. I say, I can see it's really upsetting to see your mum and daddy go. Yeah? And he stops for a moment and goes, he agrees with me, yes it is, and he cries some more, and he cries some more. Now, this goes on for about 10 minutes. But after 10 minutes, with his cheeks sodden with tears, but with a growing smile on his face, he turns to me and says, Grandpa, can we go and play with the train set now? And he just toddles off. His parents all but forgotten. And I follow him, and we carry on with the rest of the day. Now, the following day, I'm out walking the dog. And what tends to happen when I'm walking the dog is I tend to fall into a sort of quiet space, reflective space. And generally don't think about very much. But on this occasion, some thoughts started to bubble up inside me about the day before and the event with Theo. And I noticed various things. I started to see various things which perhaps I hadn't seen before. And one of them, well, there were three things really. The first thing was something about the nature and the power of thought. That we live in the feeling of our thinking. That Theo was experiencing his thinking. So here his parents leaving the house. He's clearly got some insecure thoughts about, are they coming back? I mean, I have no idea what was going through his mind. But you can imagine for a small child seeing that, a whole bunch of insecure thinking must have been going on for him because it was evidenced in his behavior, in the way he was expressing, the way he was feeling. You know, consciousness, this hyper-reality special effects department that it is, gives him or gave him the feeling of insecurity, and he was very upset. Now, how do I know that this is not to do with his parents leaving, just simply that? Well, I've evidenced his parents leaving on other occasions, and Theo has been either mildly upset or not upset at all. Same event, same situation, different state of being. So that tells me that this is not to do with, directly to do with the parents leaving the house. It's to do about how he thinks, what he thinks about it. What I also notice in terms of the power of thought and the nature of thought is how fresh thinking will always come in. New thought will always come to us if we leave it alone. If we don't keep our thinking alive and kicking, we invest in it, new thought will always appear, as it did for Theo. The thought of Thomas the Tank Engine. That was it. Now, see the smiles around in your faces. What's not to make you smile about that? So that's what happened. New thought came in, and he was in a different expression of his being, different feeling. Now, what I also saw is the natural resilience that's inbuilt into our children and the psychological well-being that is part of who we are. I saw that in him, and that aspect that allows him to have some healthy functioning, and to have the wisdom and the common sense to know what's in his best interest. I saw that coming through with him. It just simply appeared. I didn't have to do anything. Now that's the other thing, many years ago I probably would have interfered. Maybe some of you as parents could relate to that. I would have wanted to make him better. I would have wanted to make him happier. I would have wanted to distract him away, largely because I'm feeling the discomfort of it. I would get caught up in it, in the misunderstanding that what he was doing was making me feel something that I didn't want to feel. So I would have distracted him. TV, sweets, anything, just whatever it might have been, as a way of somehow appeasing and making him feel better, in the innocent belief that I was doing the right thing. But I can see that that's not true anymore. And in fact, not only is it not true, it's really unhelpful, because what does it do for the child? The child starts to believe and think in terms of, okay, there's something out there. It's my parents, it's the telly, it's sweets, it's something out there that will give me the feeling of okayness. We start to perpetuate the illusion that well-being lies out there, and we seek it over and over again. And I think we can probably all relate to that. I know I can. So why don't we just leave the child alone? Why don't we just leave them to find their way through and stay loving and stay close? My part in all of this, in this situation, was also quite telling. Because what I noticed was, initially when Theo started getting upset, I felt the sadness. I don't want to see my grandson be so upset. I felt my sadness for him. And then that moved on into impatience. And then it became irritation. Like, come on, get over it. Let's move it on. It's time to, this is enough. But I recognized that what I was experiencing was not Theo directly. He was not capable of making me feel these things. He didn't have the power to do that. He was simply being in his experience, and I could see that I was having some thinking about what was going on, and that was creating my experience. Two separate things, two separate realities. It made no sense, no logical sense to change the out there so I could feel okay in here. So that's why I left it alone, and that's why I stayed close and loving. So I just want to go back to the original statement I made. We're not responsible for our children's feelings, and our children cannot make us feel anything. Having seen that, now that I see that in my life, particularly around my 4 children and my grandson and my stepdaughters, something extraordinary is happening. No longer am I the one thinking that I have to be in control of their lives. Oh my God, what a relief. Yeah, I just pull back. I don't have to manage the out there anymore. I don't have to manage my expectations, who I think they are and how they should be. I now see them. And I see them in a way that I don't think I was seeing them before. I now see them in their truth, who they are. And they amaze me daily. Every day they amaze me. Something new pops up, which I probably wouldn't have seen before because I had an idea of what I thought they should be. So what's happening now is I see them in who they are. I see them perhaps experiencing their insecurity, their fears, and everything else, and I just love them. Nothing else to do, just to love them some more. And nothing I have here will help. So that's what I've learned through the principles. And Theo has been a great teacher for me. You know, as a grandchild, those of you who have grandchildren, it's the most wonderful, wonderful experience. And I don't want to compare it to my own children, but there's something additional here. Because I don't carry expectations about who this little boy should be. I am free to be who I am with him, and he's free to be with me. And he knows that. He feels that from me. He feels the space around our relationship. And sometimes he gets feisty and fiery and wants to, pushes up against me. You can't do that with mum and dad. That's not allowed. But he can bring that energy to me. And I welcome it. And I love him in that place. So what I saw as an insecure little boy who has some insecure thinking. And what else is there to do when you're with someone who's feeling insecure? You just love them some more. Thank you.